Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you've got a few joining us at this relatively early for a live stream on a Tuesday morning. I'm Becky. I'm the director of Northampton Film Festival. And this week, if you are watching live, it's a week before the festival starts for 2023. And we are talking to a few of the filmmakers that have been shortlisted for this year's festival. If you are watching this live, you can put your questions in the comments on the platform that you're watching it on. If you're not watching live, you're still welcome to get in touch with us, ask questions, all of that kind of jazz about the film festival and stuff. We are northamptonfilmfestival.co.uk, and the email is just info@northamptonfilmfestival.co.uk. So without further ado, today I'm joined by two of the filmmakers involved in the short film Incompatible from director Maxine Peake. And so I have with me Shakyra Dowling and Hayley Standing. Hello, thank you very much for giving up your Tuesday morning to come and talk to me.
Thank you for inviting us. It's very exciting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel we were just talking actually before this started that that the film was made kind of during the kind of pandemic between lockdowns. So obviously it's been around now for quite a long time. So it's been to a number of really exciting film festivals. So I don't know whether we're near the end of your kind of festival run, but I saw the film at Aesthetica in York. I just was really happy that you submitted it to Northampton. Well, so could we start with you telling us a little bit about Incompatible? And I don't mind who starts. I'll let you. Leave that up to you.
Hey, you can start on this one.
All right. Well, during lockdown, Shakyra and I were part of Raising Films. Of course, I can't remember the name of the course.
I think it was called Make It Happen, and it was done
Make It Possible.
Screen. Yeah. What is it? The something screen that was doing it for us.
Yeah, Screen Skills. Yeah, so it was kind of like this. Raising Films is an amazing charity that helps parents and carers back into not back into, but kind of like just gives them time and support and confidence, I guess. So the Raising Films we were selected for this course, and Shakyra and I were buddied together, and Shakyra is a very successful casting director, and she fancied doing a bit of producing. And so and I had written things before, but much more comedy based. And then we were buddied together and we chatted kind of in one of our kind of buddying up sessions, and we discovered that we'd been through a similar experience. My experience was that I found out at a 12-week scan that that the fetus had Edwards syndrome, and so I had to have. It took quite a while, but then I had to have I had a termination, and I never really spoke about it because I felt that I'd been silenced for quite. Probably 5 years I hadn't really spoken about it, and for some reason I was speaking to Shakyra about it, even though we'd literally just met
on Zoom, and I had 15 years before had a similar experience, but it was at 5 months. So my termination was a medical termination, which has to be legally signed off at that point. And I hadn't told anyone, literally beyond my mum and my sister. So it was this very weird experience that both me and Hayley found out. And I don't know how we started talking about it, Hayley. I really don't.
Because it was so
about comedy, and then suddenly we've gone into this very, very dark space of how
I can actually feel a bit emotional about it when I talk about it now. And then I remember afterwards I'd always wanted to write about it, but didn't really know about short films. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I didn't have a clue about the world of short film at all, or features. I just didn't. It just wasn't in my world. I'd kind of done a lot of stand-up comedy, character stand-up, and then had like sitcoms in development and things like that. But I wasn't writing drama. I didn't know about making short films, and so kind of Shakyra and Raising Films kind of spoke about that, and then I thought, I could write a film. And I remember messaging Shakyra saying, listen, what if I wrote a short film? Would you be interested in producing it? And then kind of being really nervous that it was like a really silly idea that I mean, as if she'd want to, work with me on that. But and then Shakyra just like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So then I wrote it.
Well, we had the space and time of pandemic, as in we were all home and locked in, and Hayley was going off for long walks, and we'd created a little playlist that really gave us a lot of thoughts about what had happened to us.
Yeah.
And it was really great because we had a lot of time just talking.
It was amazing. Like, we just had this one of those Google Notes or whatever it's called. So like, I'd go for a walk and then I'd just put my ideas down, and then when Shakyra had any thoughts or feelings or anything, then you'd just put them, you'd write, or memories, then you'd just write them down again. And so then we just, and then I wrote the first draft, and then you approached Jess.
Yes.
Levitt, didn't you? And
so Jessica, who is our other producer, actually is one of the founders of Raising Films. She had sort of vowed to never do another short again, but then we approached her and said, please, would you like to read this? And it really spoke to her as well as a mother, and I think it really resonated with what Raising Films is all about. Support, especially they support parents and carers, but women obviously were where they started, and they are a group of women who started that organization, which is a charity. So we were really lucky that she said yes, because she's way more experienced than I was in this area. I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time, but never done this before.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I thought we'd really love Maxine to direct it, and I'd worked with Maxine as an actor like years ago, and we'd kind of kept not in touch. I didn't have a number or anything, and I approached her, and she, and then she read the film and she said yes. So then we applied for funding, and we got funding, and so then we made it. We kind of, the BFI funded. We had like the maximum amount from BFI at the time, and then we had like private investors, and we filmed up on Haworth Moors, which is really near to where I live. Yeah.
Well, it kind of sounds like it came together. I don't want to say easily, because I think from Jessica saying, "Oh, I'm never going to make another short film," no film comes together easily. But it sounds like you had that meeting, ideas instantly, or connection instantly came on that idea, and then things kind of fell into place. But would that be accurate to say? Or, I mean, you had a pandemic to deal with.
We were very lucky. I think we were very lucky because even, obviously Colleen Gowdy is from Northamptonshire. He had edited my partner's two features, I think, with him. And obviously he's, Star Wars well beyond a short film. And again, I just went, oh, do you want to have a look at this film? And he was like, oh my God, this really, really has a lot, resonated with him as well. He had been, his wife had died, and they'd had thoughts about having children and never did. So it kind of was one of those stories that whenever we sent it anywhere, people were connecting with it. Our exec producer, Zoe Bamber, again, I sent it to her just randomly. She's exec on a couple of features I'd worked on. She happened to be from the area. She knew every part of
like everywhere that because I just, I didn't know if we could get the locations that I'd kind of thought of and I'd been part of when I'd been writing it, but we did, and Zoe was literally from like near to Haworth, like Oakworth or somewhere like that, and we were like, oh my goodness, like she didn't live there now, and for me it was like like for the BFI to give us funding, it was amazing. It was like I still actually feel like now I can't believe that we made this film, and because it's so important, such an important message, and Shakyra and I really wanted for it to reach out to people who'd been in a similar situation, or just through kind of not being able to talk about a termination, or like lots of people who have seen it, or the women who worked on it. As soon as I met them, like on set, then want to, kind of told me their story or their connection or kind of what happened to them or their sadness or their, do you know what I mean? And lots of people were just, women were opening up to me about their struggles and hadn't talked about it. And I just think it's just such an important subject matter that we should be able to talk about this openly, and throughout our experiences we felt like we couldn't talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd never think that, in 2023 there would still be taboos, but when we started exploring this subject, we realized that, I think it's women who silence themselves even. It's not just, we don't feel able to open up about things that are so scary and traumatic to have to go through alone anyway.
Yeah, and the shame that we just carry that shame and don't ever deal with it or something. So I felt, for me, writing the film has been so cathartic, and I'd kind of stopped writing since that happened to me. And then after this, I don't know, it just unlocked something and I feel able to write again. It's really interesting, that kind of the trauma that kind of, and the effect it has on your life, and you don't realize it at all. And, there's not, you just carry it and you never speak about it. And there's no support for women I know the NHS is really struggling and really stretched, but it's a kind of an area that needs addressing or looking at, and
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously, not only did you write it, but and obviously it's come from personal experience, but then you were in it and playing the lead role. I mean, how did you find that experience? Because that seems extremely intense. And in the film, you really get a sense of how intense that story is.
Yeah, well, it was really important for me to play the part. It's a kind of working class tale as well about, kind of how you just, and I guess in any I don't know, walk of life, you still kind of just crack on and get on with it and go to work and, don't talk about it. And then, but it was really important to me that I played the role. And it was really strange, especially the most difficult part, I think, was when we did the scene where she's having the scan, and Shobna Galate comes in and does a scan and then gives the bad news, and it was just so surreal. I felt like, because obviously I'd used it was the words that were used to me when it actually happened, so that when she was speaking the words, it was literally like I was there, like a reconstruction or something. Do you know what I mean? That kind of really surreal moment at just that time was strange, really.
We did try, and when we were exploring writing it, Hayley did we did say we need to make her a character, so we were calling her by her, the characters
all the time.
Try and sort of distance. This is the story. This is our story. But yes, that scene. I mean, I was behind the monitor going the whole time.
And Maxine, when she's directing, she's amazing. The way she directs, she's such an actor's director that she was able to just, I don't know, just get the performance. So do you know what I mean? She's just really great like that.
Yeah, she's an amazing to work with.
Yeah,
we're very blessed.
And it sounds like even from the first moment of just developing the project, you were doing what you set out to do, which was talking about terminations openly, getting people to share their experiences, and hopefully make it less of a taboo subject. But I'm kind of interested, just in the last few moments, to kind of find out a little bit about both of you, in terms of your kind of backgrounds before this film, because we work a lot in Northampton Film Festival with young and new entrant kind of filmmakers, and everyone likes to know, how on earth did you end up doing this?
Well, we're probably a little bit more long in the tooth, but I mean, I was originally an actor, so I have been on that side of the camera, and then I started casting, and I did more casting once I had children and realized that that's what I wanted to do, and that was my calling. I absolutely love what I do. I can't say anything else. I find it very creative. I love putting the right actors in front of directors and seeing their faces light up as their scripts come to life. And Hayley, go on, Hayley.
Yeah, I went to drama school. I went to Manchester Met when I was 18, and I always wanted to go there because Steve Coogan had been there, and I wanted to be like Steve Coogan. I wanted to be like a character stand-up. That's kind of what I had in my head, and I'd started doing stand-up on the circuit in Manchester like 23 years ago or something. So it was like hardly any women, and I used to get booed off stage a lot, and it was really full on. And then I just carried on writing, and then I kind of stepped away a bit from doing the comedy, and then I did a lot of theatre. I worked with Ian McKellen, and what else did I do? I did quite a lot of regional theatre, and then I went back to the comedy because I wanted to get more TV work, and I found that the best way was, I was in London then, was to I ran a monthly comedy night, and then casting directors would come, and then I started doing TV. And then I just did a lot of comedy, and I took a few shows to Edinburgh and just did a lot of writing and, kind of like writer performer kind of stuff. And then, and then really what happened for me is that I decided I wanted to have children. And then that took me away really from acting and writing, because it didn't happen for me, it didn't happen straight away. And then I had endometriosis. So then I kind of focused all my time, my efforts and my headspace was basically, I was doing bits of acting and stuff, but mainly, and then this happened that, with the baby that had Edwards syndrome, and then I had IVF, and then I've been very lucky, and I've got, IVF twins, and they're 5 now. So I was very lucky that I'd had a bit of headspace out, time out from 2016 to really 2020. I'd done bits of stuff. I'd done a Mike Leaf film. I did Peterloo, and kind of bits of things, but I wasn't really focused on it anymore because that was taking over my headspace. And then luckily I met Shakyra. We made this film, and then I'm back in it again now. And then
you're writing and writing and writing, aren't you, Hayley?
I'm writing so much now.
I'm waiting for her to send me her feature film next.
So, I'm just spent so much time now. I've written gone back to comedy and more dramas, and so
Amazing. Well, feature. I was about to ask you what next, but you've answered that. The feature film, amazing. Well, it's that. Yeah. Thank goodness for Raising Films. It seems, and that meeting, and
incredible. Yeah, like that, and the pandemic as well, because I wouldn't have been able to be on the course. I wouldn't have applied for the course if I didn't have my partner works away all the time, so he wouldn't have been able to look after the twins. So I was looking after the twins. There were only 2 then. So if the pandemic hadn't have happened, wouldn't have applied for Raising Films course, and then I wouldn't have been accepted, and then we wouldn't have made the film. So
Same. If it wasn't for pandemic, I wouldn't have had the headspace to even apply for the course or even thought about it. It would have been this little thing in my head going, at some point you'll start producing, shorts or films or whatever. And it was only because it was like, oh, okay, we have nothing to do now. What are we going to do? And also the course itself wasn't for newcomers in the industry. It was very much focused on people sidelining their current career or moving sideways and, you know, moving slightly upwards. So nobody there was, you know, completely green, which was really great when we were doing group discussions, because there were people from all over the industry within that. And it was really eye-opening, wasn't it, Hayley?
Yeah, it was just unbelievable. Like directors that had made features, and did you know what I mean? That we kind of sat there feeling like just that with everyone on that course had kind of just lost their way a little bit because they'd been so focused on their children or their carer role, and they'd put themselves and their careers and you know, dreams on the back burner because they were busy taking care of somebody else.
Yes, whether it was a parent or you know, one of their own parents or their children. It was so true. And it was really nice to not feel like, you know, sometimes you feel like you're in the wrong place, you know. It felt like so right in so many different ways. Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, I feel like that's, you know, talking about things that are taboo, you know, the industry being bad for parents, and, you know, terminations, the theme of the film seems to be a theme of what you're saying. And I think, yeah, the more that we can talk about tough subjects, but also tough situations in the industry, the better. But yeah, amazing. I feel like we probably could fill about an hour talking about that. but thank you so much. It's so interesting. I think people, hopefully, who are watching this, will realise the power. You know, your short film it's only a short film, and we spent 20 minutes talking about it. You know, it's a very powerful film, and I hope people come and see it. And they can come and see it at Northampton Film Festival on Thursday, the 25th of May, at Northampton Film House at 7:30, alongside some other short films that are in competition for that best short film title. So thank you very much for joining me.
thank you.
I'm going to throw up the website again in case anyone would like to go and look. There's a link to tickets for that short film. So say we're showing Incompatible on Thursday, 25th of May at 7:30 in the Film House as part of the 2023 festival. Thank you very much for tuning in. Or if you're watching this after the event, please do look up Incompatible. As I'm sure there'll be some interesting news about where it goes next after us.